And my first question before we go straight through our agenda is to nicely ask if Mrs. Barbero wants to do the minutes.
Sure, why not?
Thank you.
Well, it depends. How did you like the last minutes?
I
Because
loved them. I didn't even touch them.
if there's an issue with that, then I'll step back.
I
So-
just sent them right out. Alright, so we've been called to order. We're all here, pretty much. There's no one from the public here for comments, I don't believe. You guys are here specifically for your application, right? So, would anyone like to make a motion to approve minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Anyone wanna second that?
Sure.
Okay. Did y'all have a chance to review the minutes?
We did.
And were there any changes that you felt we needed to make? So, are we all in favor in accepting the minutes as presented?
Aye.
Madam Chair, Chris Kissel, who is on the library trustees, is also attending virtually.
Oh, that's for you.
So we have 3 guests. 4.
But he has to talk to you because that's the.
I know. Thank you. So, the minutes have been approved, and those were minutes for, what's the date? March,
No, it wasn't March. It was October 30th.
oh, you probably sent it to me in March.
I did send, no, I sent them to you in.
I'm just kidding. The October 30th public hearing.
Yeah. No, yes.
Yes,
Yep.
that's what we accepted. Okay, so our next part is to review any applications, and as far as I know, the only application we have is the one for the library project that y'all should have access to a copy of. And that's what we're here to discuss. We all,
There's an extra one.
well, we have a ton of extra ones, so if
Oh.
anyone needs a copy, we have plenty. Yeah,
Cause we had to make 10 copies.
oh, you can have some?
No, I'm just saying, we made 10 copies, which seems like a lot of copies.
It is. But I thought, I think the town clerk keeps some and,
Well,
you know.
technically, there's 9 members, which now there's only 6.
I see, so that's
And then
why.
an extra.
Yeah.
But you know what, maybe we need to update that because
Yeah, where does it
does
state
waste
that?
paper.
Because even she called me and said, why do I have 10 copies of this?
On the,
Right.
On the
No, on the
No, I know where it
Yeah.
says it, but where is it backed up?
Yeah,
Like, why does it say?
I think it was just so that we had
Well,
easy access to
At
information.
this point,
right?
most people send stuff electronically anyway, and if everybody prints their own out, then it spreads out the
Right, well, plus, I
cost.
mean, I scanned it to all of you too, so that Francois would get a copy, so
Right.
scanning would be the easier version, electronic versions, but the rules say printed, so you did exactly what was requested.
But maybe we need to update that.
And we meaning the entire town, I don't know who was paying attention at the town meeting, but we got approval for forms and processes e-platform. So if that's something you would be interested in next year, I can even help you take it one step further and people can submit their
That'd be
whole
awesome.
song and dance through either a scan or a drag and drop, and the form would be pretty and forward facing and
And then people can print into it and it's there, right?
Right, but let's get back to the purpose of this conversation, which is the application in front of us, and then we can talk about the others. So did you guys have a chance to look over the amount and what the scope of the project was? Did anyone have any concerns, questions, thoughts?
It was very well put together, very organized. You folks even added a set of things for other sources. Well, the 1772 is just for exterior, just to keep that in mind. And they don't do active churches or schools. But the chapel got some money for some chimney redos through that grant. Yes. Are you talking to me? No, you're talking to her.
Madam Chair, from my office, all I would like to say is thank you very much to the library trustees for putting in this level of work. When I talked to Connie and them a few months ago, there wasn't much room for wiggle room in terms of getting this done to make this sort of move. the administration and the select board are very supportive of utilizing the library basement in a way that is not a like a spider web ridden basement. So this is going to be awesome. The executive assistant is also the programs coordinator at the library, so I hear about the library all the time, every day. And so I'm as excited about the library basement project as anybody, and I'm happy to see that they got it here, and I hope that your board will see it that way.
So that goes on to the, did anyone look at this and say, oh, this is not allowable, we can't possibly do this?
I'm gonna be the one, I didn't wanna be the big mouth, but it's a project everybody would want to embrace,
Mhm.
absolutely, to make that space. You guys must be so excited to finally have your basement after decades, you know? I mean, it's been a post office, it's been an insurance place,
Yeah.
it's got an interesting history. I mean, even the basement itself was an insurance, isn't one of the things. But if you look at the chart, and I even called my sister, she's CPC in Lancaster, and she said, you're not under historic. Did everybody get this, did you folks get this chart?
The chart,
You
so
folks
under
did.
historic, the way you can use funding for historic is to acquire, which we wouldn't be doing, to preserve, or to rehabilitate. Those are the allowable uses for historic funds. In my purview, and I did discuss it with the state of Mass, the CPC.
Stewart?
Yes. Because the building is historic, making the expansion within the basement is an allowable use. And I found other towns that had libraries that expanded, they didn't add, we couldn't have done an add-on, but the expansion of your services within the historic building is allowable. As far as what CPA had to say about it.
That's not historic though. Are there
It's
other,
not-
are
it's-
there other funds that we could do this with?
No.
Someone could be.
But it is an allowable use for historic. It truly is. I'm not making that up.
Yeah.
And I can send you links, well, you can go on the state
So
site too.
other folks have been able to do this
Yes.
because the word create is in there and in the application.
But we're not creating anything, we are rehabilitating.
The word's in there twice, create. And
Oh.
because moving the walls.
Create new space.
Yeah. So, I mean, having talked with other people about this, but if Stuart said it's.
Oh, no, I
okay.
can send you the email from Stuart, where we went back and forth. He was very excited about the tie to Clark University and,
Oh, it is.
to the
It's
building
very,
itself. And
very
as long
interesting.
as we didn't, like, do an addition on the building or didn't do something like that, that wouldn't be allowable under historic. But expanding within your historic property is an allowable use.
So would we using the word repurpose have been better than to
No,
create?
you were fine,
So are we saying
Oh, we're just trying to-
Stuart or Steward?
Stuart.
Stewart.
Yes.
Is it with a U?
S-T-U-A-R-T.
Yeah.
Just checking, because
Yeah,
I wanna make sure.
and I'll send you his name and his information.
Thank you.
But so that, as far as CPA is concerned, because it's a historic building, now we can't pay for furniture, we can't do that kind of stuff, but as far as the other things.
Right, and when we paint the walls, like, the walls will be painted in, like, the colors that are appropriate to the time when the building was founded, kind of what you see in the library now,
Yeah.
where you see that, like, aqua color and that pink and that yellow, like, those are colors that are.
I mean, obviously, the board will take a vote on whether or not we feel this can move forward, and whether or not we can fund it, whether or not there's money available, that's the other part that we have to figure out.
Well, it's not that much relatively speaking.
No,
50,000.
and I looked at it and I thought the numbers would be okay.
So, and we just, basically, we haven't spent much money lately, which is great,
Mhm.
and the last debt on the playground is this year, fiscal 2026.
Nice.
So, we're in a good place as far as the money. It's just would be a question of which bucket to take it out of.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't, it's not recreation. The library was helping me figure that out. Even though I was like hoping that you could use it for recreation, as far as if you were gonna do like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, that's recreation.
They tried that with the senior center, and that
It
didn't
has to be
fly.
outdoors. It's specific that it has to be
yeah.
outdoor recreation, so
Yeah.
that wouldn't work.
No.
It's obviously not housing. Can't do that. But it is an historic building, it is an expansion of it. It's not a new addition to it. So I don't think we'd have any trouble with the state. it really would be up to the voters, like, we can just say it's allowable, not allowable, and we have the money for it, or we don't, but the voters would decide whether or not it's something that they want to pursue.
I'm a rule keeper, but I'm imagining this will go forward, and I want you to not misunderstand where I'm coming from. I support it. It's a great idea, the sink, it'll be usable for people, even your office, so people don't have to deal with steps. You know, lots of good ideas. But it says you don't create, and it says, to expand into the lower level, to create new accessible spaces, and down here, creation of this new larger dedicated space. And then interestingly, the word conversion was used, which is, what does conversion mean? Changed from one use, functioning, or purpose to another, which is exactly what is happening. That's fine, that's what it is. But if you go by the definitions, preserve, rehabilitate, restore, reestablish,
From Stuart Saganor.
yeah,
Um,
he's the big boss. He
You
knows
can't
it.
use CPA funds to build an addition onto a historic building, as that is creating something new, and create is not allowed in the historic category. But your basement is already there and part of the building, so if you fix up the space and give it a new use, that is rehabilitation, which is allowable. See the verbs on the chart below, sends the same chart that you sent. And then we actually chatted, and the chat was basically, the building, there's no denying the building's historic significance
Oh,
to the
yeah.
town of Hubbardston.
Nobody's
What,
questioning that.
what meeting were we in when we heard that the library never was supposed to even have those offices in the
Oh, who
basement,
knows?
remember?
Just,
And they,
But that's,
Every
that's.
meeting in the last
they
year.
weren't even supposed to be there in the
At
first
least
place.
20 meetings over the last 365 days.
yeah,
Like,
But that is so, I, as chair, am completely comfortable saying that this would meet an allowable use. And I can't pull it up on my phone because I'm just not that savvy, but the CPA state website, I actually did look up a couple libraries that did it.
you looked up what?
A couple of projects in different towns that involve libraries where they expanded on their space, using historic. So it wasn't for recreation, it wasn't for anything else, it was for, they used historic. So I'm comfortable with it.
I know I'm gonna get
But the rest of the
but I don't
board-
think the guidelines
Would it
match, but
be
that's
a-
okay.
I mean, would it feel better if we,
Reworded stuff, no.
Reworded it?
It's not a semantics issue,
not
it
semantics.
really is a, well,
Well,
really,
CPA
maybe it is a
says-
semantics issue. We all would
we
like
used
to
the
see it
wrong
fixed
word,
up
yeah.
to suit your needs. But the historic money of CPA might, okay, here's an example of why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. The library roof,
Not-
big project, thank goodness, I think
That's
Tom
why I couldn't
sort of
find it.
spearheaded that,
Yep,
that was
absolutely.
gigantic, and what an improvement. And it was teamwork, because it was CPA,
So
town,
good.
and state, I believe,
Got it.
300,000 or something like that. So when you look up at the slate roof and you see the patterns, that was what they did, they restored it, they
yeah, statewide project
rehabilitated it,
database.
and it's definitely historic. Here, I feel like we're creating a basement to become like a rec room.
And it doesn't matter, it's
To
just,
me,
we
it's
want
not
to restore
But
historic.
I'll get outvoted, and that's fine, that's how it works.
I think we should have used the word rehabilitate, cause really
Yeah,
that's
well,
what we wanna
that's-
do, is
that's-
rehabilitate the space so it can be used by the library.
Yeah,
Libraries.
rehabilitate,
Yeah, I know,
to restore to good
I know I saw them,
condition.
so I know what they
And then the example they gave was to
Dire.
rehabilitate a
Repair
storefront, to
valve.
rehabilitate the economy, that's a stretch, but whatever. I
And
just,
there's others too in there.
I'm not comfortable with it, but I'm just being honest, but it'll fly, and it'll be very wonderful for a lot of people. But I just think other funds should have been used for this instead of CPA, but other funds are very busy right now.
Like what?
Getting the new place done, I'm sure there's lots of money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Part of that.
And then the next decision would be, well, assuming everybody, most
I'll
people
look
are in
for it.
charge of it, are in favor, which bucket? So
Right.
that's something, but we do have the money, so not
Okay.
all in historic though.
No, but we
There's
could
not
too,
enough of
we could
that.
take some from,
Depending on our long-range strategy, if somebody comes with a big project, it's nice to have the bucket available.
well, that's the other thing, we don't have a big I thought we were gonna get an open space project.
Really? Oh, well, that was,
Um,
no, we scaled it back, yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking that for a while.
So I thought that
too.
was gonna happen, but we
No.
don't have anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the, if, once Parks
The
and Rec.
track, yeah, that desperately needs to
Once
be
Parks and
done.
Rec, but somebody's gotta make the application. So once Parks and Rec come in, so we might wanna keep it in the back of our mind that there could be, that could be a larger project.
Well, that could be half and half out of open space, recreation, and half out of
Mhm.
undesignated reserve, so that would work. But every year it gets more expensive.
What did
Yeah.
Jessie say? She was on vacation?
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
So we did try to get parks together before this meeting and it wasn't to be.
Well, if she wants to, are there just two people on that now?
I don't know.
I think we have a full complement, but only kind of. Like, there were people written it.
Okay, all I knew was Hunter and Jesse, that's what I
Hunter,
knew.
Jesse, Bella's friend, and a couple other people.
Oh, there was other clarifications, I knew I had more clarifications on there. It's, again, from Stuart.
Mhm.
It's fine to turn the basement into a different use, however, no significant historic features can be removed, obviously. And CPA cannot pay for any furniture, equipment, and no town employee can charge their time working on the project. Beyond that, we just need to see the plans, which we did. We asked about how we just deemed the building historic, explained how we deemed the building historic. And chat about his son. So I don't see a problem of moving this out of historic. So now we just have to decide, is this a project that somebody needs to make a motion to vote on accepting the library's project as presented for use of CPA funding.
I can do it. I make a motion to accept this application to use CPC funding.
Does anyone want to second that? Francois, you want a second?
I will second it then.
Okay, so shall we have a vote on that? Who's in favor of moving this project forward to a town meeting vote? The
Are
aye.
you not allowed to vote?
I
You
don't
wanna
think
do a
I'm-
roll call?
I don't think I'm
Yeah,
allowed
we'll do a
to vote on
roll
this.
call.
I don't think I'm allowed to vote.
Yes, she should recuse herself, or should she?
Right.
I mean,
That's
no, because
mine.
I don't
Right.
recuse myself from open space stuff.
No,
I
and you don't have any
refuse.
personal,
But you're here as a
I
representative of the
refused
open
myself
space
for the
committee,
church,
correct?
I
Right.
didn't vote for
I'm
the church.
here
You're here as a
Sorry.
member at large,
Right, I'm not
right?
so you're a member of the
Well, then that
No,
frees you
no,
up.
no.
If you were
Not a member of
historic,
the
you
church.
probably,
Never
I
was,
mean, you
no.
can,
No.
Yeah, I mean,
it's up to you, but we'll do a roll
Let me
call
put it
vote
this way,
because we're.
Christine, we're not gonna need the vote if you're uncomfortable doing it, so.
would
All
I
right.
like to?
That's what
Do
I
I
was gonna
feel-
say as well.
Do I feel it's appropriate? I'm not sure.
If you could flip it, I'd vote, but if it seems like you don't need to.
Yeah.
My only concern is I don't want to,
Say that you colored the vote?
yes,
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to. You can abstain.
thank you.
Slacker. So I am a yay.
Yay.
So that would be Mary is a yay.
I guess so.
Are you in favor of moving this project forward to town meeting?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Susan?
I'm in favor of the project, but not with CPA funds, I don't think it aligns, but that's me.
Francois?
Well,
Yay.
it's fine, you're the treasurer.
So is yours a yay or a nay?
It's a no on this
Thank you.
vote. But
That's fine.
I
I
wanna
just
make
wanna
it
make
clear,
sure
I think
that-
it's a great project, and you did a great job on the application.
So it's four
I
yes?
didn't
Doesn't
do it,
align.
but two, I just need to know from
No,
what
I'm a no
that's
vote.
all.
I'm a no vote.
Thank
Four
you.
yes, one no, and one
Oh,
abstention.
yeah, Chris abstained.
Okay, so now we're gonna move that forward. So the second part of this conversation is how we're gonna fund it.
And then we need to look at document 1 and 2 that Sanda, that's ancient history, huh? That Danielle sent around. Or do you want me to do a synopsis of it, or?
Synopsis would be nice.
Do we have enough for these ladies at this point?
It's okay.
Because the money is there.
Yes. That's fine.
Of the two sources, the open space is currently 40,522, and the undesignated reserves currently 140,200 basically.
Mhm.
So, the application is what, 40,002 or something like that?
It is for
40,000.
40,710.
Oh, all right, more like 41. What do you think? We can't do it all then from open space because there's not enough.
Well, we
We could do
we
partially.
Wouldn't it be
We
historic?
could do it from historic.
Oh. What am I thinking?
I know. I'm
You belong
like,
to
what
I
are you
certainly
doing?
couldn't do it from open
You
space.
belong to too many committees.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
We're all just like, huh, where's this going?
Oh.
Oh, jeez. So
Okay.
what do we actually have in historic?
15,967.
Okay.
What about 10 and 30 or something like that?
Yeah, 10 and 30, 10 from historic and
Yeah.
30 from undesignated?
Well, 10, do you want the straight 10 out of historic and then 30 with the balance 710? 3710 out of undesignated reserve? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Oh, the reason I was thinking open space is because I want to get Curtis Field back in there. It's been on the books for like 1,000 years and it's not gonna get used.
We're gonna, that's comes
Oh, I
next
know,
on the
that's a whole
agenda.
other thing. That's why it was on my brain though. I had it on this little sticky here. So, we wrote down, we decided then 10 from historic.
Yep.
And 30,710 from undesignated reserve. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Everybody agrees with that?
That's what I
It's
would agree. Does
there,
anyone
and
wanna?
this is what it, well,
we need
it's
to make a
supposed to be
motion for
used
that?
for historic.
Okay.
Because the outline of the funds is dictated by the town meeting vote.
Okay, cool.
You'll have to eventually, I don't know when you do it, but you'll have to propose language.
We have.
Oh, the warrant, yeah. So that's a new warrant for, when are they due?
When is the town meeting?
The
March-ish?
second, I think it's the 3rd of this week, of June.
Oh.
I think.
That's-
And we will open up the warrant probably the first week of March,
Okay.
maybe
that's-
first week of
Okay.
April.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have, and that's all the housekeeping stuff out of the way too for CPA for the town meeting. Alright, so, ladies, I think you're good.
Well, thank you so much, I really appreciate that, you funded our proposal, and so.
I mean, I will like pull out some more stuff to make sure everyone's happy and comfy, between now and town meeting, showing why it's an allowable thing, just in case that question comes up at town meeting, cause we've moved it forward, so that's, from this board's perspective, it's moved forward. But in case someone had a question, we can at least justify and support that it is an allowable use. And that's really all we'll have to do until that meeting.
If you need anything else from us, like, don't hesitate to ask, so.
Great. You're welcome to stay and
Oh,
have the rest of the ribbon conversation.
All right, thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Okay, so then
Be
next.
sure to invite us to the inaugural whatever.
Yeah. The first time
Cupcakes
down
for
in
sure.
down in the basement.
I'll get an inflatable dragon.
I saw a very cool, fire pit that had a dragon that. Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, that's a very cool.
Comes up and through when it goes through the mouth, it's so cool.
So you saw two.
Do I want one? Yes.
All right, so our next point on the agenda, which I cannot find in front of me right now, what's on the next point on our agenda?
Discuss possibly pursuing administrative support for the committee.
Thank you. That is actually an idea that was floated by Nate, and I did not disagree with it, but the board has to weigh in on it as well. We do have that administrative fund. If we could come up with an idea of like how many hours we might need a clerk that could help with minutes and making sure we're posting everything correctly and follow through with projects, so like reach out to the library and all of that stuff.
Why?
We used to have one, it was fabulous. I don't know if you were on the board back then.
No.
It was awesome. You had this person that showed up at all the meetings, took all the minutes, made sure the town clerk got them, would come up and say, hey, this bill is due, this is what the project's for, would track it with all of that.
Where are we getting all this money for other people? Oh, we're gonna take it out of our own money. Is
Out of
that, can we do that? I
Up
don't
to
think so.
$6,000 something dollars.
that fund where we have the administrative fund,
Yeah.
but we can spend it every year, and if we don't spend it, we have to put it back.
Yeah.
We can use that money for administrative costs.
Did you check with Stuart on that one? Because I know that.
Actually,
It's
there's
strange.
actually job postings on the CPA site
Yeah.
as to how to,
I know, but did they say how it's funded?
yes, it's funded through that administrative fund.
Oh, okay.
Um,
All right, that's news to me because
And-
I would rather see it go back in the undesignated. And
Right.
because we don't spend it a lot every year,
But
that's
if we-
$4,700.
If we're gonna have a $40,000 project for the library and possibly a $100,000 project for the walking track, having someone that as a committee, and I was on the committee at the time, so I'm not throwing anyone who wasn't in the room under the bus. When the church did their roof, the one across the way, we didn't have a project manager for that, we just took their word for it. So then when the church came back for more money for the roof, because the guy that did the roof didn't do it correctly and then skedaddled on them and they got some small claims court thing on, our committee had no idea that had happened. That wasn't great trusting use of taxpayer dollars.
I agree.
So if there had been someone at that point that was following the projects, it's possible,
Aren't we as
we might
committee
have caught.
members sort of supposed to do that? No?
We do, but I mean, at the same time, if you have someone that's like in the building all the time, or in town offices or around, that can be approached and can, know when the warrant's going in, so we've got the check ready to go.
Well, and that's why when Christine was talking about using up, which we'll talk about later, because those funds, one of them is zeroed out, one of them still has, 14,000 in it, and so forth. But at that meeting, I said, well, just be sure to run it by me, and then I'll know that that's going on. So I think there's other ways to do it. If everybody's hell-bent on spending the administrative that way, I'm not gonna get in the way, but
I don't know that we're hell-bent on it, I could see the benefit, when we had that.
if it's the right person and if they show up and we don't have to retrain
Right.
somebody
And
over and
when
over.
we had-
When somebody finally gets it and says, oh, I'm gone, see ya.
Ask Jassy, because Jassy was the chair at the time, when we had the clerk.
Well, why didn't it continue then?
She
I wonder?
quit, she found a better job.
Well, the girl, the
The
person.
girl, yeah, and then we couldn't come up with an idea. The hours that we needed them were so few.
And it's evening, most.
Well, it's evening and it's like we didn't have a ton of projects, so there wasn't a ton of stuff for them to monitor. But even if we still have so few hours, one of the suggestions that was made was taking a current town employee and throwing some hours to them using the CPA's fund to do this stuff.
Oh boy, I'm a real party pooper tonight.
You said it.
Oh, but I have a right to my opinion and.
But it would be like the land, what do we have? There's a couple of committees that have people.
Yes, so we had just put together a position that was the land use clerk, the assessor's clerk, and the assistant town clerk. They all used to be their own little part-time gig, and it was a revolving door and that.
Now you
So
have one,
now there's
it's
one person,
consolidated.
she is the administrative services coordinator. I couldn't think of any more buzzwords to fit into that job title. So she has been doing a great job so far. Her name is Leanne. The two people that I'm thinking of that could potentially fulfill something like this if they were interested are her, and then there is someone else that I would have to talk to because they already do a lot. But that person also does a similar deal for cable. So there are other organizations, boards that do something like that. I don't think it would be very beneficial to bring on whomever for 2 hours a month just to get them a check for $25. Like, that maybe wouldn't be beneficial, and I would suggest just not doing it at that point. But if there was benefit and to the Community Preservation Committee, and a loyal town employee could see benefit as well, I don't see why that's not a good partnership.
We hardly meet though, I mean, so the reality is.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, so is that a good thing for that person, or just a little fly in the ointment, and to know the ropes, which means the financial ends and the minutes and the guidelines, and I'm just saying, there's a lot to it. And so if somebody invests that time to know those things, it's just, and you're always
Well,
learning on
this-
the job,
This
trust me,
person
yeah.
would be being directed by the committee, like, they would be doing what the committee deems we need done.
Okay.
They
Well,
wouldn't,
it's an
they wouldn't be
interesting
doing
concept.
anything that wasn't
Oh,
requested of them.
they're not taking initiative, they're follow through, they're
Right,
expediting.
right.
I get that's what the position is about, but.
Francois, do you have anything
I was
you'd
gonna
like to
say-
add?
He's awfully quiet, Francois, are you awake?
No, I'm fine. I have no comments.
He says, I'm not gonna get into this.
Does the planning board have a clerk?
Yes. It's
Pardon me?
It's
The
the
planning
woman
board
that,
is-
it's the
okay.
woman that I just explained.
So you know this person because you use her for the planning board.
We do.
I haven't asked her.
And that
She's
person
only
has,
been here
I mean, he has
3
been very helpful, specifically in regards to matters that have to do with the planning board. He knows land use very, very well. I'm not sure as to what the applicability would be from an administrative perspective.
Not
for
Alec,
the
Francois.
CPC.
Francois, not Alec.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant Alec here.
No.
You're talking about Leanne?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, no, Leanne would be, I think, all right.
Oh, that's partly
No,
the right
Leanne,
person.
I think would be very helpful, absolutely.
But I can't speak to actual human beings because I did not ask anybody. Because
Yeah.
that
This
would-
is just an
that-
idea
And we
that we're
shouldn't
floating.
either.
That would
because-
have been an inappropriate thing to bring up
Right.
without first having a conversation.
But I mean, it's an idea,
But
we don't.
realistic, oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Go ahead.
I mean, we don't need to do anything specific tonight. I mean, I could ask Nate nicely to see if he could come up with an idea of, cause he has, a lot of towns a lot of towns with CPC do have a clerk. Maybe reach out to some and see, like,
And-
pay
and-
scales, et cetera.
And admittedly, the good chair did shut me down because I came to her like excited saying, "Oh my gosh, we can probably get a grant person," and then
And I said no.
it was,
Um,
and I was quickly reeled back in.
But I
So-
could-
You mean
but I-
through this, or what are you talking about?
There are other communities.
Oh,
much
grants are the way. Templeton, they have a fantastic person in that position. How do you think they get all their things
Yeah.
done?
Much larger communities are using CPA funds to supplement grant positions.
but they're paying much larger monies than this
Yeah.
Oh, they
committee
have
could
more
ever
money.
pay.
Yep.
And,
Right.
but, and the housing thing, while we're at it, that's Pandora's box. I hope we don't get into that at some point, because even paying rent and so forth, we don't.
So, back to
What
the
housing
town,
thing?
Under the housing bucket, you can do housing rent,
Oh.
I believe, and I'm thinking, what are we, I think it's straying a bit
We're not-
from
we're
its-
not
Yeah, I know,
talking
we're
about affordable
not, sorry,
housing,
but it just,
um,
it popped into my head.
but that's, I mean, that, I was on the board when we had a clerk and it was
You're saying it
fabulous.
worked.
It was so great to have, she
Until
showed
she
up at the meeting
quit.
until she quit. And she gave me a big box of stuff.
And it would be my hope, and I don't really know how to say this,
Say
but
it.
it would be my hope that there would be a allocated sum of money for the person to help you guys with what you need, not when we call upon you, you are paid hourly. Like, let's say you said, oh, we could do $2,500. We would add $2,500 to their bucket and they would be expected to be here.
So what's the way you think it should work
They would come when we need them.
at an hourly rate? And then they keep track of stuff they do off, out of the face-to-face or meeting, is that what you?
That would have to be configured.
I mean,
But that would, the way the other towns have done it is the person answers not to him or the select board, the answers to the chair of this
Right.
committee. So there would be
Wait.
some bit of oversight as far as, what we
The
actually
way
do.
town employees work here is they all directly work for the select board through my management. But there are dotted lines with all of the chairs.
Yep.
Like even going as far as like Chris Monroe, the planning board chair, meets with that employee and I on a weekly basis just to
Review what's.
review.
Yeah.
Chris is one of the only employees that has a different relationship as she is reviewed by the library trustees. Christine, are we hired by them or hired by?
I am hired or fired by the library trustees
Yeah,
as
so
library director.
I think that's the one and only
Person.
position. Cause I had a nice, lovely conversation with the Board of Health chair about this.
don't we need a new one soon? Board of Health?
Yes, we do.
And I can't remember off the top of my head what our actual line item is for undesignated, not an undesignated, for administrative.
Well, that brings up an interesting thing, then maybe we should be, as we're becoming more professional,
Oh, thank you.
maybe we should be more professional and meet every month. Because we're technically supposed to have a long-range plan, a short-range plan, and we don't really have time to
No,
formulate
this
that.
is, this is.
So maybe if we
well,
met more often and the person that's picking
Okay,
up the
5,000.
pieces behind the scenes, it could be very effective.
That'll go back, yeah.
I don't know, how does everybody feel? That means a little bit more, and on one part, you can still walk in and just be here, cause
Mhm.
all the other stuff's done.
Mhm.
But it would still require then more, because we do need things like, would this person go to the CPA and say, oh, so where's our 5-year plan? Cause we don't have one. You know, and maybe we need that kind of prodding, but it wasn't my place to do it, but
I don't know that we, as a board, need to meet every month when.
if we wanna formulate these things, when do we do it then?
If we wanna formulate, if we have a goal, yes, most definitely. If we wanna just come up with a 5-year plan for CPA,
Yep.
then yeah. That's, which is, I think, what Chris Monroe was trying to get put together with the planning board. With all
No
these different.
comment.
Okay.
What does
Um,
that mean? That each committee has their goals clearly, so is this an overlap thing? I don't get it.
So the master plan was being worked on for about a decade. And
Yeah, okay.
And it is in a draft form that has been in
It's still drafting
in
and
front of the
floating.
planning board.
Okay, I gotcha, I know, it's hard.
Francois can speak to that as the planning board representative liaison if you would like, but there still currently is not a finalized master plan. It was started in 2000 and I believe 15 by the Montrose Regional Planning Commission. It COVID?
That's the coquis,
That's the what?
the frogs in Puerto Rico.
You're muted, Francois.
The audio is really bad. The audio is very
This is
bad,
Puerto
and I have
Rico.
hard,
Oh, okay.
I have difficulties hearing some of you.
Oh. Tell us to speak up if you need us to.
Well, so do you want to comment on the planning board?
I can hear you very well, but the rest of you.
That's because we're not talking.
I don't know if it's the owl is just not picking up the sound very well from some of you.
Move the mic down here.
Is that, flip it
That's
around
the
that
big
way?
one?
Yep, cause the thing with the lit up eyes is a microphone and then so is this.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you
That's like a
drag,
roving mic, sort of.
if you drag one this way, can you hear me better now? No.
Yes,
Oh, all right.
Alright, so you talk so we can make sure he can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hey, I heard that.
Can you hear me?
yes,
Francois?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Oui, c'est bon. All right.
Alright, so you were talking about
Yes,
master plan,
planning
10
board,
years, planning
and
board.
The person that does that and
There's a master plan. And it's in draft form, and that's about it.
Okay, so
Okay.
is the understanding for, each committee should have some sort of plan about what their end goal is? I mean, cause it seems to me that the CPC's end goal is pretty much ongoing to approve applications that come in to us
Right.
that we then pass on to the annual town meeting or special town meeting. So
Well,
that
in theory, it would be hoped that all of the boards were working in conjunction, in partnership to achieve goals that are written on the master plan. Because then it is a community effort that everyone is working towards. That's why some of the master plan is historic, some of the master plan is straight planning, some of the master plan is infrastructure, some of the master plan is parks and recreation. It's a large-scale plan that is supposed to last 10 years.
Okay, so wouldn't we, as the CPC, be sort of held hostage by people whether or not they're going to make application for the funds that we have available? Because like you said, the Open Space Committee did not make, I'm sorry, was it the Open Space or was it the Parks and Rec?
Parks hasn't put one in.
Parks has not put one in, but you were expecting it, so it's not like we can give them or say, we support this program because we don't have anything that we can say yay or nay to.
Sometimes life happens, like 48 Gardner Road was not on the master plan, but Get Public Safety Building was. So,
And the reality is, from as far as CPC goes, all we can do is say, is it allowable, do we have the money for it? That's pretty much, we can suggest, like, we can, and I know, past CPC boards have, reached out to like historic properties in town and said, hey, you know, CPC is in town, or CPA can be used to, restore historic properties, or CPC can be used to, I know, there's some people trying to get a dog park, and I think they talked to you about it.
Oh,
About-
that was an open space thing, which sort of died its own death, I don't know.
But regardless, but like, there was a conversation that, you know,
Mhm.
'Cause remember, I was
CPA
gonna give
monies,
the land.
CPA monies could be used for something like that,
It probably
for
would've,
recreation.
But I'm glad it didn't.
I pushed her to you guys as a first step, you guys meaning open space, just because it would likely have to be either on parkland or on open space land, just because what else is there?
We
do
discussed
a
it
dog park?
briefly, but the consensus was between liability issues and just, do we really need one here? I don't know, so it, and then she seemed to have dropped it, so we didn't.
But I don't really know how this committee could come up with a 5-year plan, like, we couldn't sit there saying, you
Well-
know what, we would like to see
Right.
that.
To look at our mission, and right now, to me, we've spent significant things in all of our categories, but the big one, does anybody else see a big one that we can connect with, that we should probably save big funds for? Like housing, so that we don't get mandated with a 4-story motel-looking place here? I just,
Yes,
no, we don't
obvious-
have that much money, it would have to be matching, obviously.
So the mandate, even from MBTA communities, is not that you build 4-story housing, it's that you zone for multifamily. Like
Hey folks, I lost the audio.
Oh, is it back?
I'm not hearing anything, anybody.
How do I know if this is working? Do you hear us now? No?
How could it just disappear? Oh, that's
What
a
is
red
that?
light.
Cable has come loose for the audio.
Can you hear us, or what
I
is that?
see a
Oh,
red
the
light
red
here
light-
that I
red
didn't
is
see
back.
before.
Okay,
There
so I
you
took
go.
that off.
Is that any better?
Maybe that's, so it's twisted there somewhere?
No,
It's
it's-
stuck, it's in.
It's in.
These are all plugged in.
How's it going? Can you hear us now, Francois?
No.
No?
Nothing else is here in this.
I'll talk to you through this.
Talk to you through
Oh,
this.
no, I won't.
No, I won't.
What if I called you on my phone?
That's an interesting idea.
No,
And
it's
put it on
showing
speaker.
us as speaking, it's gotta be on his end. Like every time someone talks, Slate Building goes bolt.
Okay.
Can we turn this off and on,
No.
this itself?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Thanks for coming in.
Francois, can you hear us?
Come again.
She hopes she doesn't have to.
I have very sad news for all of us here, though. If we lose Francois, we lose
our-
quorum.
Oh.
Which
Can we
brings up
call
the
her?
other issues that we need to talk about. Can we
I
still-
don't wanna make Francois give us, I don't wanna make him give his number or anything out.
Oh, but you have it.
Okay, thank you. He's not looking at his
He
phone.
doesn't seem to have a cell phone.
Can you message through this?
Francois,
Maybe he's not seeing it.
Maybe his phone isn't there. Can't be.
He can't, he's not getting.
Well, this is fun.
pick up your cell.
Yeah, reached Spencer Steiger at 617.
You gotta hang up. No, no. Oh, he was giving out his phone number. Oh, no.
Or is he?
It must be his end.
He's still there, though.
It is on that end. Oh, I'm not calling Bill Homans.
Yeah, you are.
Well, I was, but I didn't mean to.
Can we turn this owl off and on again?
I reboot it.
It's on his end, I just
It's on
checked.
his end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he's gonna call you.
Maybe he thought of that.
We don't have a quorum with 5 people?
It's a
We
nine,
might,
Yeah, that depends.
cause it's 9 people, so that's more than half,
yeah,
so we're good.
we're still okay.
It's a quorum of the body as if it was full.
Full, which
Right.
is 9,
Yeah.
so
So
5
we're fine.
is quorum for 9,
Yep.
right?
Which is good, so we're
Alright,
still
so-
good. Because we have Chris now, we didn't used to have Chris.
That's right, we have Chris.
So do you wanna message Francois saying
Saying,
he can give up
okay,
if he has
Francois.
to, cause he's
Revoir,
not.
Francois.
He's on vacation.
Well, he's kind of, wait, is he back?
Hi Francois, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. If you lose us, you can, we have quorum without you, so if you have to go, you can, but if you wanna
No, I
stay.
don't have to go, it's just that
Okay.
I suddenly didn't hear anything anymore.
Okay.
People.
May have been a blip on the system.
Yeah, he's being so good sitting there.
Alright, so we did,
So what kind of a conclusion did we come to on,
The last thing we were talking about was a mandate from the MB community,
oh, that's housing, but.
yeah, but that's,
For the
that's
house.
just,
Yeah, that's a
that was
corollary.
just chitter chatter, that had nothing.
Well, no,
So,
just
and-
because that could be
So
our
I
main
think I gotta
mission, and then we
mention
Can
wanna
I ask
save
a
money.
question?
Sure,
As CPA, are we?
or CPC, CPA is the law, but whatever.
Can we say, go over to people and be like, hey, we got money, you wanna, do you have a project? Or are we
Well, that's
just
why-
kinda sitting around like, okay, so we know that the track needs to be done.
Are you open?
Open, what do you
Like
think?
to receiving more applications?
Sure.
Cause I thought there was only a time frame.
No, we just
There is a
haven't had
time frame
any.
because we don't want an application to come in right before town meeting that we don't have any way to vet and be sure of. And we've had some complicated projects come in that the numbers, the numbers were not there.
Right.
The idea really wasn't cemented down to what they were hoping to do.
So
So
it's
we
like
want.
a last minute ditch,
Because
like, let's see if we can get.
Right, we can't just toss that, you know.
Right.
If, no, how do I say this without breaking the law?
Get out.
If there happened to be an interested board that had an interest in putting in an application, I could probably work with that board to come together with some quotes, and it would only take a couple of weeks.
As, I think I know where you're going with that, we discussed, they'd have to be an actual plan with true numbers,
Yeah.
not just let's put a placeholder in,
No.
with an actual vision as to what they're trying to accomplish.
But then be aware, we're not adhering to what we said our guidelines were, so I'm just saying. I would say that's kind of like, now I know someone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just
We're
saying.
also sort of spot projecting,
Mm,
like, they didn't put in.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, they didn't.
Yeah.
Like,
So should we save money for
A big
projects that we know are coming in town, that we
We should
think
always-
they may ask for money from us?
the reason why the committee is built the way it's built is that open space is supposed to come to the table with ideas of what open space is trying to pursue.
Okay.
Parks is trying to, like what Parks is trying
Okay.
to pursue. Affordable housing, if we had a committee, what they're trying to pursue. That's why the committee is this way. It's not because the CPC is gonna go out and say, we have money, come to us. We don't, first of all, we
Okay,
don't
so
have
we
that
don't-
much money.
And we
really
don't,
don't.
well, and we don't advertise on.
Oh, we do
our-
advertise.
Okay.
We have hearings, we have the things out
Right,
there,
but
we.
nobody ever comes to
That's,
this.
that again is
Right,
not
right,
us,
right,
that's them.
But as long as, so, okay,
But so the group, like the CPC itself, there's representatives from every
yes,
part of the town. There's a
Yes.
planning board rep, there's
Yes.
open space, there's all these.
Concom, Conservation Commission.
Now
which should
that
be.
brings up what is actually on the agenda, which is the lack of participation from Parks. There's no one named from Parks here. Conservation Commission, there's no one named from Conservation Commission. And Alice resigned, so she is, we do not
from
have.
housing,
She
Yeah,
did.
she
okay.
was.
So, we rewrote that bylaw so we could specifically try to get people on the board that have experience with affordable housing, and have a special affinity for that might help. Like Alice was great with getting grants right off the bat. So if anyone knows of anyone who's watching this or
I never
whatever,
heard back from that grant.
How did you never hear back? I thought it was a done deal. Oh, I thought it was pretty close to done. We'll have to go reach out.
The affordable housing plan that I applied for with Alice?
You
that
not,
one?
you, no
I
response?
thought it was like some kind of study about of how to use the property,
Yeah,
and I thought it was
that
done.
wasn't Alice, that was all me. Like,
Okay, well, let's hope Alice agrees, cause she's probably watching.
the sand pits? The
Yeah.
50, that was all, no, that had nothing to do with Alice. The one that Alice applied for was looking into the current, municipally owned sand pit that is contaminated.
Oh, okay.
Fiat's place.
Like the
But still,
$50,000
reach into that and look, cause I mean, that money was,
I will
apply
reach
for, see
back,
where
I
it-
will reach back out to them, cause I
see where it
did
stands.
I put a solid day
Yeah.
into that with Alice's assistance. But no, the sand pit, $50,000 from the Rural Communities
Mhm.
Fund was a land use clerk and I thing,
Okay.
so.
But so we're lacking on the affordable housing role here, so if you guys know anyone would be interested in joining the committee that has that type of a background, some expertise in housing, I'm thinking even like.
May I suggest something here?
Sure.
Have you had a chat maybe with Alice herself and see if she has her recommendations as to who might be a good person to join, since she is no longer participating in that?
I have not, but I could do that. That's easy enough to do.
I mean, I'm thinking that she probably has some thoughts and ideas in that area.
Right. But it would be nice to see someone who's like, cause she was very excited about housing. She really truly was. And
She's
brought-
well versed.
she made the Habitat
Yeah.
House happen, so I mean,
She's well versed.
it'd be nice to see someone with that energy come onto the board.
And experience.
Right.
Having the law background was helpful, for
Yes.
sure.
So
She's
that's,
very pleasant and,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
gets things.
yeah, that was it's very unfortunate, but what can you do? But, so we are down a housing rep, we're down in Conservation Commission, and I know Francois, you've reached out to Conservation on that. I've reached out to Parks. If these boards
I
can.
did reach out to Conservation Commission, but they have not,
I know.
obviously have not provided anybody to come to the meetings.
And I mean, I know every board has a hard time getting people on them, but that's, you know, something we have to keep on reaching out to, cause the more people you have on the board, the more ideas come up, the more,
But quorum is hard for 9, so, I mean, we're pretty faithful as a unit.
we are.
Good
But I
thing
was,
otherwise.
the last
Yeah.
time when I was chair before, and then before Santa came in, there was plenty of times where we called meetings and we couldn't hold them, because we couldn't get quorum.
Nobody wants to waste anybody's time, so
No.
it's tough.
Which brings back to I don't feel truly, you guys can decide, or you can override me. I don't believe we need monthly meetings of CPC. I mean, I don't see what we're gonna accomplish if we don't, we know this project's coming in. Now, if we had someone that called, like if Open Space did,
We only
they
meet
messaged
when
and
we
said,
have a
hey,
project."
we think we're gonna need more money.
Yeah.
Can, when your deadline is tomorrow, can we get more time? I'm like, yep, you have until the next CPC meeting to get your application in. Then it turned out that they didn't need it. But I mean, if that were to happen with, like, if Parks came tomorrow and said, hey, we met, let's, pursue, like, we would like to pursue this money and this is our application, we could call a meeting for that, to, go over that. If the library thing ran into a roadblock, they got all these estimates, but suddenly the estimates aren't matching, we could call a meeting for that.
Yeah.
In my capacity as town administrator, if I were to secure 3 quotations for the walking path, is that something that could be considered?
There's an application online. You're welcome to fill it out. We do have time if you're not gonna open warrants till April, I believe you said, for a town meeting. If you got it to us by mid to end of February, so we'd have time to review it before that.
Yeah.
Do you
could
have
do
any
that.
idea how much that, just theoretically
The
speaking, how
working
much would
number
a
was
track like that be?
$50,000 5 years ago.
I know,
So,
I thought I heard 80,000, what did you just say?
the working number was $50,000.
Oh, 50,000,
And
so it's
again-
at least doubled.
Like take this as an example of a good application.
I don't wanna say create.
No, it's a different category.
So
It's a
what
different
is this,
category,
walking
actually.
path, where would that be?
Where
There
the
are some
current one is.
issues with the Curtis recreational
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
walking path.
Yeah,
It's just seen
It's
better
awful.
days.
oh, most definitely, yeah.
It's almost liability-ish, isn't it,
Mhm.
because of the holes and stuff? But how come they
Almost
haven't,
unsafe.
if they know there's a need?
She's new, it's a
Because there's
small
only two
committee.
people on the board.
So, you've gotten your answer, if you can come up with something, we'll call a meeting for it if you do so, and talk to Jessie, make sure, you know, when she's back, well, actually.
Has anybody contacted Hunter? He might do it, he's a good kid, he may not have the time. I mean, he could be our representative.
Well, the way, if Parks was gonna put it forward, if they're doing it, the
Hunter
way it's,
may or may not be beginning to work here in the next couple of
okay, wait,
days,
we don't care about
so-
Hunter, I'm taking back my little room, cause I wanna get out of here at some point tonight. The Parks should meet as a committee and come up with a, if they wanted to put an application forward,
I know,
just like
but
we
we
would.
need somebody from Parks, is what
Right,
I'm
so,
saying.
on the board?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, come in, yeah, Parks can name someone to that, but they gotta figure out who they're gonna name, and they're aware of it. I've reached out to her and they're not in a position to.
Oh, two of them are aware of it, okay.
Well, I mean, I reached out to the Parks Committee and said,
Oh,
you guys are supposed to have a
Maybe I
rep.
can drop a dime and say, hey, Hunter, I mean, cause the open space work closely with
Jessie
him
would be the
on
one that would,
his, you
Jessie
know.
as the chair would be the one that would say, this is who I wanna put on park, you know, this is what we would
Okay,
like to do.
so that's kind of, you're saying the initiative should come from them.
It should come from Jessie, and I know when she's coming back from vacation, we're gonna try to get together with, I'm gonna try to get together with her to discuss, you know, the walking track, the Parks representative, cause Parks has used CPA money for a lot. So it's been a value to them, they just, that's just new.
And some of it has been financed, and we just are
Yeah.
paying off the last playground debt, so.
Which actually brings up another interesting point. I did talk to the previous Parks Chair, Sanda, who was also our chair, about the Little League field, and I talked to you a little bit about that
The
too.
Little League.
The Little League money that was appropriated.
Oh, the 12 that now is 10 something, because
Yeah.
there was some sort of 1,200, I don't remember what it was, but it's clearly, it's a little, it's
But
10 something now.
That money, that project is done.
And,
So that left, the project, well, they've spent the money that they needed. That additional 10,000 that's been allocated that hasn't been spent,
yeah,
we should, bring that back into, into whatever fund it came out
that,
of.
it goes back to open space.
Okay. Okay, so that
I
should
mean, I
go,
can double check it, but I'm pretty sure that's
so
where.
that should go onto the warrant too.
219 was it, or something like that?
I can look it up, I don't remember it
Okay.
off the top of my head.
But we'd have to take we take a formal vote, but it doesn't have to go to the town, remember, Nate, because we thought
No,
that
we-
had to happen.
We've,
Well, no, it didn't happen, cause when we vote stuff back to the bucket it came from, the town didn't,
we've
it
all,
wasn't included.
CPC has always voted the money back.
Well, but it wasn't in the last town meeting, so, I mean, I don't care either way.
But we didn't, we
We put some money back from the library, I believe.
Yeah, there was the 2,500 from
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
the long range
So we
plan.
just did that, and it's back in the historic, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But that wasn't something that town people voted on, because it was just in-house, we didn't use it, we
Yeah.
put it back.
I don't have a legal opinion for you, but I see it your way. Like that you don't, what would that be? Like that would kind of be just administratively burdening
Right, it was
for no reason
allocated,
at all.
it didn't get spent, we put it back
Yeah.
on the shelf, I don't know, but I'm not a lawyer, so.
I know we had, in the past, the board did.
So you would feel more comfortable doing it,
Well,
but
that
he's the
way
boss, so check with him.
Well, that way people in town know that, hey, we spent, you know, that project only came out at $20,000, why
So
did
we-
we vote to spend $30,000, where'd that
Right.
other $10,000 go? Well, if we voted at a town meeting to bring it back to the account, they know exactly.
Well, maybe
With
there's
another
a spot for
10,000,
that, isn't
you
there?
know?
Somewhere in,
Op-
like the town report, the annual town
Optically,
report.
I would do that, like, I'm applying for grants for the project for the municipal efficiencies and all of the applications, and I received $20,000 to do the project. If I can get the grant, I'm gonna showboat putting that money back. I can promise you that, like, cause that
It's
is,
not showboating,
It
it's
is-
being
is positive.
sunshiny and
tra-
making sure people
trans-
see.
Oh,
Transparency.
look, I
Transparency.
found another way to do this, so we've saved some money,
Yeah.
that, and who's gonna argue with that?
Yeah.
Nobody, they'll be very happy. So, are you saying the same thing she's saying?
Yes.
We should show that in the town
We could.
warrant?
Yeah.
So I will make myself a note, I've written up warrants
Okay,
before
so
saying
is
to
that
put
one
the
of
money
the
back.
things we wanna do when we get there, put the 10,554 back in open space,
Yeah.
but we need to vote it, and then it happens, Kelly needs to know, but she could do it before town meeting, or would she have to wait for a formal vote then?
Well,
It's already been voted on,
Yeah.
the
yeah,
people, but just, how, could that be in the town report then?
it could be,
all right, because that's
Well, when
not-
you do the list of, projects that are completed, you can be like, oh, budgeted for this amount, came in under
Yes.
budget.
So, and I have the numbers right at hand, so, you know, that's just if everybody thinks that's a good idea.
Okay.
So this
So,
doesn't, okay.
We need to make a motion to return
10,554.
to the open space bucket
I move
for
we
unspent money for the rec fields,
I'll
or for the,
second. I'll second.
Little League fields.
Yeah.
I move that we put the $10,554.82 that wasn't used for the Little League back into the open space bucket.
So she made the motion, Dolores seconded the motion, as all in favor? Aye.
Wait,
Francois, are you in favor?
oh, aye.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Now, could Kelly do that right away, or do we have to wait for
We need to
something?
make sure that gets done though, because according to Sandy, we voted this in June.
Well, I had that to-do list, and then everybody did it in a different order, so it never got done, because
Okay.
I think we thought too there was more coming
Oh,
at
okay.
that point. It was
So,
in
that-
process for like 7 years, so.
So we'll get that, if you want, if you're gonna talk to her about the warrant,
Yeah.
the checks and on all,
I'm gonna send 2 scans, and then I'll just
and mention
drop a
that to her
little
too,
note.
that that's going back into
Maybe
open
she
space.
could wait for the minutes, but then, yeah, there's no rush, we know it's gonna be going there.
Okay.
Because that codifies it, this
Right.
was voted in the meeting, so she says, oh yeah, okay. Otherwise, it's just me saying, hey, by the way, this is
Do
what we
this.
did, you know, so.
Okay, so that's good, that
Well,
cleans
that's
up some
very
bit.
good, yeah,
Um,
because then that makes that bucket 51,077, but then we deduct the 37,110, and that's out of, oh, okay, just trying to keep up with it, yep. Okay,
he's checking.
So do we
alright.
have to vote on that great idea you had about having like a clerk run tabs on
I will,
projects?
I'm thinking we're gonna have
It's
another.
just you, hold on, Kelly, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone.
Okay.
It's just the
Yeah.
board.
Hey Kelly.
yeah, it's just us, right?
Yeah.
And anyone watching at home.
Right.
So if you have, so a project that you're finished with, it just takes the board to vote, to close that project, and it goes back to the same bucket that the money came out of.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we did take that vote, for the 10,554.82 to go back into open space.
okay,
And
yep,
Susan will convey that to
Yeah.
you tomorrow.
Hi Kelly, it's Susan, and I'm gonna be scanning 2 library, warrant to you tomorrow, the one we've been working on. So
okay.
I'll just put that in the email to you, so that will
Okay,
remind you.
great.
Okay? Isn't that
All
nice? Okay,
Nice,
boy.
thank you.
Thank you
You got
guys,
it
sorry,
done.
I'm sorry. Alright, bye-bye.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Alright, so we've done that.
It's done. I love that.
I believe I do think we're gonna have another meeting probably in 4 to 6 weeks, with possibly another project.
That's,
And at that point, we can, you know, Nate and I can talk
The
a
other
little
part
bit
of
more
it.
about the clerk idea as to like what we would actually want to try to have happen.
So this
and then
is going
decide
to
that.
see-
Unfortunately,
CIPC
I
or
don't think
it's already been
it
signed by
can come
Nate and
from me.
myself.
No, it can't come from you.
Because you
Okay.
guys
She's
need to
technically
decide,
CIP.
like,
Okay, so I'm
I
just gonna write this in. I'm not gonna do
appreciate
it.
and value my staff and would love for all of them to make more money doing any municipal thing that is fun and efficient and allows them to get their hands dirty.
Well,
If you guys have work to be done and it is valuable enough work to put money aside to do it, I can work with you to find someone.
Okay.
If it is determined by this entity that that is not needed at this time, so be it. I brought it up, I'll come up with some more plans, some of them will be good and we can do them, some of them will be bad.
I know when we had one, I liked the idea.
Especially
And I
with
mean,
a
like,
big
something
grant
like,
coming, you know, just to keep track of,
When
on
we-
top of things.
Like this Little League thing, I work full-time. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be around to call, the Little League guy and say, hey, did you guys finish resizing your field?
Right,
But maybe the clerk can,
right,
you know,
right.
or admin, whatever.
I
one
just
wants to
see it
call
as
it.
one more link in the chain that might fall apart, but all right.
But would you be willing to
Experience.
follow through on some of this stuff?
Direct communication is usually the best, the more direct you can be.
Right, but we would have actually a person that would be in direct contact with
Okay,
contractors and,
Yeah.
oh, did you get that?
And they would also
measured?
reach out to you and say,
Oh.
hey, this is the bill, this is the
Yeah.
bill that came in, and
especially
they
on
did the work.
invoice projects.
Right.
Yeah.
That gets very, in the past, some of them have just
Right.
been,
Like, is that,
nobody knew what was
is
going
that
on.
something that you would be interested in doing?
No, no, but I just would like to think of us as we could handle what we have, and I think we could, but that's.
But
that's
I
what-
don't know that we did, well, I shouldn't say we, cause I wasn't part of this, but, you know, it sounds like when that roof got done,
Nobody
it
was
didn't-
watching the store,
No,
kind of.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we had a storekeeper, a
Yes.
store
Right.
watcher,
Yep.
and especially because we are very conscious of how much money we are spent and how much things cost, that we could have like, oh, did you complete your blah, blah, blah in a timely manner so that you're not gonna charge us more because you didn't, you know, I like that idea. And I don't know that anybody that's at this table right now has time to do that. So if we had people that had time to do that and the interest to do that, I think it's a great idea.
So if you were, we meet maybe 6 times a year, usually, sometimes less, sometimes more,
Yeah.
Depending on the project.
depending on the project.
But again,
Comes down to
like,
the projects.
can't we just call a meeting like, oh, somebody, you know, so-and-so has a question, but whatever, like,
Mhm.
call a meeting. If we get a quorum, we can have a meeting. If, you
Yeah.
know, is there any law against just calling a meeting, like, giving somebody 2 weeks or 3 weeks notice of,
But what
for
do you think would be a
calling-
reasonable stipend for someone
Oh, I
to
don't
be,
know.
that's,
I don't know.
that's the question.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it's
It depends.
$5,000.
No, so, like, figure it out, what's the, you know, minimum wage, which we would have to pay more than minimum wage.
So both of the employees that I would
You know,
think
like,
of
what's
make
their-
around $23 an hour.
Okay,
Maybe a
so
little higher, maybe a little lower. I
then
don't
we
have
set,
the
like,
number.
you can spend, well, and the first time it's gonna be a little bit iffy, cause who knows, but, so you spend 30 hours a month on our project.
It's never
or
gonna be
you-
30
month?
hours. It won't be 30 hours a month.
Well, see, that's, so I'm just throwing out a number. You
$30 a
spend-
year, probably.
Okay,
It
well,
definitely
just
wouldn't
throw out a number.
No, it definitely
Okay.
wouldn't be 30 hours a month, but I mean, I could see,
But you could say, okay, so within a month, you could probably spend maybe 10 hours, depending upon if the project is just starting and it needs a lot of help, or, I don't know,
well, I mean, like,
anyways, I think it's a
off
good
the top of my
idea.
head, I know, based on our website, the town's website, not anything personal, our minutes are not posted correctly. They're not up there.
Right,
So sending this off to this person and say,
Right.
hey, can you
even
charge us
like
that?
5 hours a
All of
month.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I had 4 to 5 hours a
Yeah.
month on top of the workload of an already
Sure.
pretty full plate.
And are they
employee.
full-time you know, do
Yes.
they work 40 hours a week? So, yeah, so,
I don't
you
have
know.
one particular person in mind.
No, no, no.
I don't make promises that.
No,
are-
I know that, I'm just saying, I think it's a great idea, because I was taking minutes, and you know that you didn't get any from me, so I'm like, well, I don't know how to take minutes.
Oh god, I was watching videos and rewriting minutes.
Yeah,
to try to
it's
catch
funny,
up.
because, you know, like, that's not my job, I'm just an at-large member here. But if we had somebody that was willing to do that had time in their schedule,
Mhm.
it would, I think,
I
would
li-
be
well-
immensely helpful for our committee to stay on track, to, you know.
Well, I mean, like having something like someone that could take this
Right.
and put it up on, like, list the projects,
Yes.
list the application,
Yes.
you know, and get it on our website so people know about
Right,
it.
and if they're
Um,
already part of the town and they can get on the
You wanna
website
get someone that would do
easier,
it for 5 hours,
yeah,
you know.
like, and it wouldn't even have to be like an hour all at the same time, like 15 minutes was spent. Yeah, you can keep track of that kind of stuff. But anyways.
And it would be my hope that this wouldn't be, oh, we hired Jennifer and now Jennifer quit and we're out.
Right.
That will be a chunk of X position.
Yes.
No matter who does it.
Right.
As long as the money is allocated year after year. If one year the CPC decides to say, hey, you know what, we didn't get much out of this stipend last year.
Right.
The minutes weren't great, there weren't any big projects, we're gonna pull out of that, so be it.
Yeah.
I did
I
love it
like
when
the
we had a
idea.
clerk.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to start, like, you know, it's not gonna be $5,000 worth of work.
No, no. But again, it would be helpful, and I think it would take some pressure off of some people to, like, think that they have to, I don't know. I like that, I
That's
like
part
it.
of somebody else's job.
Yeah.
That's their job, they can't just get rid of that portion of it.
Right.
They have to stay.
So, I mean, would we as a group be comfortable with, to start off with, putting aside a $500 stipend for 6 months?
Sure, how much does that, how many hours is that?
Well, if you do, like, if we were assuming like 4 or 5 hours a month,
Yeah,
that would be right around there.
yeah, that would be fine.
But again, that's something that the committee, would have to weigh in on. I mean, I know how valuable that person was when we had one.
Yeah,
And they
Um,
did a good job.
I think it would be.
And I do know how-
It really depends on
I do know with all
their
the,
concept of what the expectations are,
Right.
and then digging in and.
We would present them with
With an idea.
expectations that we have.
but with all the changeover in town office, and we've had great people, and that have come and gone, and we have great people now, our stuff is not as up to date as it should be.
Right.
That person could help make that happen.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd make a suggestion that
Mhm.
you talk to the ladies who are doing work for other committees. And, you know, obviously Board of Health is gonna be a lot, land use is gonna be a lot. But when they're just doing the minutes, or they're just doing, you know, like a couple of things like this, 3 hours a week might not be a bad thing.
Right.
Right.
And based on the numbers, $500, $23 an hour divided by 6 months, oh, I didn't do that right, sorry.
Are you doing math?
I was
All
trying
I'm
to
hearing
do
is the
math.
Charlie Brown teacher voice.
Wah, 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 wah. Sorry, I got kind of thrown off a bit, but yeah, it sounds like it could be doable, especially because it will fluctuate for us.
Yeah,
There will be a
Depending
lot
on
of
the
work, and
projects,
there
yeah,
will be
and
a
the
lot of
nature of
work,
the
and
projects and
that
so
she
forth.
probably, he or she or they will probably be like, I don't have to go to a CPC meeting,
Yeah.
ooh, I
Yeah.
can go out and watch, you know, Men in Black 5.
So conceptually, we're no longer just a volunteer group, we have a professional.
We'd be sharing an administrative assistant.
They could all say no too.
Yeah. They could
Yeah.
meet us and be like,
Well, this is not my night, and I'm
Not
not
gonna happen.
negative, but okay, so are we at a place where y'all wanna vote it, so
Right.
somebody needs to move it?
somebody needs to make a motion to
That was, what'd we say, 500 for,
500 for 6 months stipend for administrative work for the.
and should we say the rate, or not?
Well, it's a stipend, so we're not really, I mean, we're not really breaking it down to hourly.
Maybe if we can find somebody that wants to do it for the first 6 months, you cut them the check at month 3, or $250
Right.
and their
Yeah.
paycheck after 2 months, and $250 at the end of 6 months to.
And they just keep track of their work hours and
Yeah.
so forth? Okay.
So,
Well, I make a motion that we accept this idea.
and
Me too.
can you second it?
Yes.
Francois, do you even understand what the motion is?
We sleep.
No, I can hardly.
We're making a motion to allocate $500 from the administrative funds from CPC or CPA to be
Yeah.
used for a part-time clerk.
Administrative,
Yes.
okay. In that case, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Roll call vote, because of Francois, I guess. Danielle Larry, I'm in favor.
Mary, yes?
Dolores, yes.
Susan, no.
Francois? Oh, sorry, forget about you.
Go ahead, Francois.
He said yes.
Did Dara say yes?
I said yes.
And Chris says yes.
Okay. So that motion carries.
I just don't want anyone to think that that's going to get a, like, 500 at $23 an hour over 6 months is not many hours.
No, but we
So-
shouldn't have that many
Yeah,
hours.
no, and I agree
Okay.
with, you. I just don't want to have to talk to people about this
Mhm.
and then say, oh, it's not gonna be much, and they're nice, and it's a couple of little things seems like it's not gonna be any big deal.
And then suddenly it's 20 hours
and
worth of
then
stuff.
and then it is.
Right.
Cause we have very nice people that will go above and beyond, and
No, we wouldn't bury them with work,
But if it does, then we can revisit them
right, and
also.
if we
and-
found that there was a lot
and,
that was,
you
that was getting
know, and
accomplished, we could.
readjust the money.
When would that start?
Well, you'd have
whenever
to,
we have
next
somebody
meeting?
interested in it.
Oh,
we would wanna meet the person too,
But they would probably want to meet us
Yeah.
also.
and I do think, I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't have a meeting scheduled within the next month and a half or so anyway.
oh, yeah.
So at that point, you know, we can chat and meet the person and see how that moves forward.
So that's behind us now?
And I have no problem reaching out to, I'm in what's called STAM, the Small Town Administrators of Massachusetts. I can reach out to them and see if anyone has done this in any fashion, and that will just be a quick email. We have a listserv, and they're usually pretty good at, if there's an answer, getting it back to you, so.
Sounds like a
Is this a good,
plan.
what's the next agenda item, because I have some new old business sort of stuff.
I don't think that, I think that was pretty much it, cause we reviewed past projects, which was the Little League field. We talked about the vacancies, we'll do more reach out to parks and conservation and all of that nifty stuff. If anyone comes across anyone who has housing experience, send them this way. Talked about the clerk, administrative person. I think that's it. Did anyone, am I missing anything?
No, but I'd like to just update then the allocated summary that was document 1 that you sent out.
Okay.
The library fund of 8,000 is now zeroed out because of the brickwork. That invoice is gonna be scanned tomorrow. We put the 10.55 back into open space. 17 stays static. The 20,000 deducts 6 for the brickwork, so there's 14,000 left in there. And then we will have a new playground number coming into here, and this one is going out. And other than that, keep in mind, throw the admin though, the 300 there that's been deducted is the dues to CPA, well
Mhm.
worth it.
Yeah.
So we really only have 4,700 annually, which is still quite a bit of money, which I would like to see going back into undesignated reserves, but that's just me. So that's document 1. Should we, oh, I know what we have to do. This is a must-do. We have to decide on the debt source for the playground last, payment. So, on the 2 sheets that I had just sent out, not the town report, but the articles, it's, let's see, tentatively, to see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer, our last payment is $30,630. It's payment 5 of 5 for the 2026, payment. So, $30,630, and it could come out of open space, or it could come out of undesignated reserve. So you might wanna look at document 2 and make a call, make some recommendations. What do you think? It's $30,630.
Wouldn't that have already been designated to come out of a certain fund?
I believe, I think originally it was set up this way too, either one. We can look up the former warrants.
We'd need to
I
have
can't
that.
even remember what it came out of last year, but I can look it up.
Yeah, we'd need to know that, cause it should be, that money was voted to be
From a
allocated.
certain place?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think one of them said either or, which I thought was odd, but, yeah.
generally, I mean, generally with every project, the money is, at town meeting is
Yeah, but
allocated
that's
to come out.
5 successive payments, and I don't know if, say, if that was allocated from open space, there may have not have been enough money, so I'm guessing it would be undesignated reserve.
Mm.
And I think, you know, we could do a study of the last 4 payments and see where they came from.
Yeah, cause that was a debt, I mean, that was a loan, not a loan, but we took on debt to do that.
That was 2020, I believe,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, cause it was the one that was outside during COVID,
Right.
that we took that vote. So, but
Undesignated
Cynthia,
into, at ATM 2024 was undesignated reserves.
how about 23?
I think it's the same.
Yeah, I think it has to stay the same.
FY 2023.
So how
How is this new person's position gonna affect you as the treasurer?
Oh, if they wanna take this all over, fine,
It
but
won't.
there's a lot to
No,
learn.
they're not gonna have ownership of anything, they're going to,
Just expedite.
right, so when
Okay,
you have your
sounds good.
warrants, you
Is
say,
that
hey,
why you're all flustery about this and you don't want it?
No, it's just a concept, because I see a lot of towns capitulating sort of, but then if you don't get people, then how does it get done? So
Right.
it's a conundrum. I don't have the answer, but I know what my preferred approach would be, but that doesn't mean it's gonna happen.
well, we've locked in for, we've taken the vote and locked in for 6 months, we'll see how it goes, and I'm telling you, you're gonna like it.
It's been undesignated for the
All
last
the
2
time.
years.
Okay, so is that enough for us to make a decision tonight, so that we have one less thing to decide for later for the warrants, or?
Yeah, definitely, it has to come out of the same bucket, so if
Okay,
it's
so
been
if
coming
it's-
out of undesignated, it has to come out of undesignated.
Alright, so if we take it out of undesignated reserve, and we've already taken out 30,710, so it would be 109,489, so if we take out 30,000 from that, do the math real quick, what is it? That leaves a balance of 90,
Look at us looking for calculators.
okay, so
I'm not
let's see,
even following.
109,489, and
Where's the
deduct.
109?
Cause she took out, there's, undesignated was 141.99.
Cause I already
Okay.
deducted the 30,710.
Oh, I don't think I have. it.
So 109,489 deduct 30,630.
I printed them out.
What do we get?
7:30. Isn't it? I think it's 7:30.
Oh,
I know it was on my phone. I couldn't read it.
109,489.
No, yeah,
And then,
That's what's left in undesignated reserve.
and then we have to
after
we have to pull out, what was it, the rest, the last of the rec fields?
30,630 even, I believe.
So Alicia with 78,839.
Okay, so that's under 6 digits, which is unfortunate, but that's okay.
It'll come back, we'll
Yep.
get the money next year.
Okay, so that, do we need to formally vote on that, right?
No, we shouldn't have to vote, I mean, we're gonna we have to make the last payment.
Yep.
And it has to come out of the fund that was
So we're all
authorized
set,
at town
as long as
meeting.
we've made that decision?
Yep.
I thought usually we vote, but that's all right.
We
Okay.
can go for it,
Well, people have to get paid, so it's not a voting situation, is it?
no, we
Yeah.
we budgeted, we didn't budget, but we
Right.
borrowed
Alright.
the money
Yeah.
across 5 years, so I think it was 5 years. Was it a 5-year term? I think
Yes.
it was.
At a very good rate, thank goodness.
Yes.
Cause the
Which
two
that-
loans overlapped for 3 years.
Right.
But we made it through, just barely.
But I mean, once town meeting votes, the money's coming out of a certain fund, then we just have to keep doing that.
Right.
We can't change that without town meeting vote again.
Great.
Alright, so we're good?
One
There?
more money thing then, the estimate for fiscal year 2026.
No. Has there been any guidance?
On the website where they had the state match that you can all look up, which if you can familiarize yourself with it, it's so helpful, everything is right there. But last year, we brought in, for fiscal, oh, I hate this fiscal year stuff. 89,209.70 was for this year. That was our revenue. Does that sound about right, Nate? The CP2 form will tell you for
Yeah, and
sure.
then anticipate that it'll go up 2 to 2.5% over the next year,
How much?
about 2.5%.
Okay, so if we call it 89.2 and 2% increase, what's that? 10% would be 8,000.
Yeah, so $90,000.
So 90, should we, the thing is, trying to guess the state match is anybody's guess, but what we've done for the last 3 years is use the figure of 100,000. 10, 10, 10, 5, and 65.
Yep.
And it's worked
It's
quite
worked very well.
Because technically for the state match, you can't count the interest. So they wanted to know just the basic revenues, and that's what they base their state match on. And if you wanna do it, it's fun, go to the website and look up under data bank, and then look up your town. And it has a PDF and a spreadsheet, so it's great, so there it all is. So, should we think about it, or do we wanna get that done? Should we up it a bit? Nah,
No, I think we should stay pretty conservative.
I'm okay with that if you are. So
But I
that's,
think matching what we've done in the past 3 years has worked really well. We
that's,
haven't
if it's
overestimated.
working, don't break it, right?
Right,
Okay.
but we haven't,
so-
like, cause we had the year we overestimated, we don't wanna do that.
Oh, that was a mess.
So,
That
but,
was
so
a
we're
mess.
trying to avoid that, so that the past practice has been working. I'm comfortable with following it again.
Okay.
Sounds
So
good.
does
Do we
somebody
need to
wanna make a formal
motion to? Francois, you haven't motioned. He's like, I don't hear you.
So moved.
Do you wanna repeat what the figures were again, Susan?
It's 60, it's a total of 100, 65, 10, 10, 10, and 5. Meaning 65 undesignated, 10, 10, 10 open space housing, and, what did I forget?
Historic.
Historic, and then 5 administrative.
Yeah.
So that seems to be working for us. I did ask Kelly to give me her opinion, but she did send back the latest greatest, but she didn't give her opinion, so I don't know.
It's
I think she'll
basically
be okay
allocating
with
the
this.
monies back into the buckets and kinda guessing what we think we're gonna have for revenue, which we do every year.
So, all right, well, that's good. Did we vote?
Oh, we didn't vote, we should vote. Roll call vote.
Daniel,
Hey, guess what?
Yay.
Mary,
Yes.
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes!
Chris, Sue, Francois.
Steiger, yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
So do we have any other new old business?
Just the town report, if you wanna look it over, I use the same template, change it around a bit. But I include the CP2 form, numbers, the property surcharge, the distribution match from the state, and the, investments. So, I'll just use this template, if that works with everybody, and basically for what we had for, we just paid debt and the 10 grand for the trail. And that's about what we've done lately, which means we had some money to do some other things just now.
Right.
Should I add those in? No, cause that's gonna be
That's
on
going
the
forward.
thing,
Well,
right?
we have to
20
actually-
This is 24, yeah, so.
We're
this
moving
one-
stuff forward to town meeting, but town meeting has to vote on it, so nothing,
right,
we've
right.
done nothing yet.
Right, okay, so we're, and this doesn't need to be due, but I'll work on it again and try to make it more of a non-draft.
Yeah, and I really, I mean, I do think we'll have another meeting, so if we do, you know, we can send it.
Shall we set that now so we can plan ahead?
No, because I need to find out whether or not Jessie's on vacation, when she comes back,
Oh, she might be able to attend, is that
she
what-
might be able to attend, she might be, you know, there might be some more movement.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that out, so that, I will contact y'all and let you know, what we're looking at. So who would like to make a motion to adjourn? Are you okay? Do you want some more?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Who would like to second that? Do we need a roll call vote for that, Francois?
The adjournment is actually the only thing you need to do.
Because I'm away, you do require a roll call.
Okay. So the motion's been made and seconded. Chris, you wanna like make the roll call?
Sure, Danielle,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Francois,
Aye.
and Chris, yes, it is unanimous. We are adjourned at, you're the chair.
7:58.